DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has been fired. AI companies side with Trump, and the Iranian conflict continues. All this and more here on the Beat. The Iranian conflict continues, leaving 3 more American troops dead. But first, we need to talk about DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. This past Thursday, I was just sitting back watching a good old episode of my favorite brand new TV series, The Pendragon Cycle, when I got a notification. It read, DHS Secretary fired. Well, I obviously took a moment, paused my show, sadly, and looked into this. Kristi Noem, who well, I've said it like 3 times now. This DHS, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, has been fired. Well, why? I don't know all the details, but there has been this court hearing, for the past few months now. Throughout it, a few different things have come up. We've got from everywhere from sex scandals to
Why do I love these wide open spaces?
fraud.
They remind
basically.
me of why our forefathers came here.
And
Not just for
fraud
beauty,
was the
but for
final nail in the
freedom
coffin
only
for
America provides.
Kristi
I'm
Noem made this
From the cowboys
ad.
who tamed the West, to the titans who built our cities, to the dreamers who chased the impossible. America has always rewarded vision and grit. Our greatness calls people to us for a chance to prosper, to live how they choose, to become part of something special. Anyone who searches for freedom can always find a home here, but that freedom's a precious thing, and we defend it vigorously. You cross the border illegally, we'll find you. Break our laws, we'll punish you. Harm American citizens, there will be consequences. But if you come here the right way, your American dream can be as big as these endless skies. From President Trump and me, welcome home.
Now, it's a good ad. It's not bad. It really tells it. It is a good ad. It really is. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. But that's until you hear the price tag. The budget for that ad was $200 million. That not $2 million, 200. That's a lot. That's more than the first Iron Man movie and the first Captain America movie combined, I think. I don't have the budgets of those 2 movies memorized, but I'm pretty sure it is. If it's not, there should be subtitles saying "liar, liar" or something like. Hey, I do my best. I gotta create a good analogy for you people. Retention is terrible. Speaking of, you got to let me know in the comments what you want to hear about. Over the past few episodes, you guys have only been watching about a minute. Well, what happens in that minute? Not much, just the opening. So if there's a story you want to hear, let me know in the description or in comments. Let me know on my community tab. I don't want this to just be me spouting stories. Get me ideas. Get me stories you want to hear. All right. And also hit that like and subscribe button. Those really help too. All right. Back to DHS. So this video, $200 million. Good. Kristi, but the real nail in the coffin, the straw that broke the camel's back, the last crescendo, the how many other possible alliterations, idioms can I think of? None. The last drop of water that really sealed the deal. Oh, there's one. Was Kristi Noem claimed that President Donald Trump approved of the funding. Well, our president himself said he did not. That is the problem. So, with Kristi Noem no longer being Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, who is Mark Wayne Mullins. Now, who is this guy? He's not someone I ever heard of before all this. And I don't know too much about it because of it, mostly. Mark Wayne Mullins is a senator from the state of Oklahoma. He's been senator for he's going into his third year since 2023. That's about all I know. I don't know what he's voted for, what he has. I'm assuming he's pro MAGA, but I'm not sure. I mean, he's joined the MAGA team. Trump has hired him, so I would assume. But you can never be too sure. So that's who's replacing Kristi Noem. Uh, yeah, that's about it for that topic. On to AI. AI has swept the country by storm. Swept the world. 3 years ago, we were already starting to create videos with AI. Got those first videos of I don't know why he's the kind of metric for AI videos, but Will Smith, you gotta love the guy. Will Smith eating spaghetti. All 3 years ago, already 3 years ago. But AI has swept the world since then, anywhere from ChatGPT to Claude to uh whatever, Sora AI, all this stuff. It is in everything now. Now, there's been a form of AI around for the past 20 to, or not 20, 40 to 50 years. A form of AI. It's simply is intelligence. As long as we've had computers, we've had a form of AI. But it's this generative AI that has really caught fire and is really radical. It's new. Well, now on Tuesday, President Donald J. Trump had a roundtable with many of the heads of various companies who lead AI. These companies pledged to, whenever they built a data center, a new AI data center, they would build a power plant right next door. Why is this important? Well, there's a few reasons. One, they have the means. Most of these companies, especially the ones at this meeting, we had Meta, Google, X, these companies aren't exactly poor. They aren't startups. They can cash flow a power plant in addition to this data center. They can handle it. What else does this do? Well, it lowers the electric bills. Trump is running on this platform of getting the economy in a good place. Well, with the war in Iran, and the gas prices have gone up. So Trump really needs to get back at dealing with the economy. He needs to okay, we hurt it a little bit by having Iran be a bit more hostile than they usually are. A little bit, they're always hostile, but we hurt it a little bit by causing them to claim the Strait of Hormuz. Now we need to work on to counteract that because already his public opinion isn't super great when it comes to economics. Could be worse, but uh, it's not great. It's like 60% and something. So he laid out this pledge, and he actually talked about this during his State of the Union last week eh, about lowering these electric bills. Well, during this roundtable, not only did these companies pledge to do this, which would also create a ton of jobs in addition to the data centers, uh, some of them also announced new programs and plans for the future. Meta talked about a new program that they've opened up in the state of Ohio where anyone can come in. It's a 4-week program, and then by the end of it, they'll become a certified fiber technician and have a certified or a guaranteed job at Meta. Google talked about free professional training for small businesses when it comes to AI. And finally, X or Grok talked about recyc using new ways to recycle energy and water for their AI. But more importantly, they talked about sending AI to space. Now, I'll get into some more of the importance of that here in just a minute, but first, we need to talk about Iran. So, over this week, I'm recording this Saturday, March 7th. It's been a week, exactly a week since we started. As of today, there have been 6 US casualties. Now, so that I don't, uh, oh, what's the word? Dishonor these patriotic men and women. They're all men. So I do not dishonor them. I'm going to put their names on the screen right here, just so I don't mispronounce their last names. You can read them yourself and have fun with that. But these 6 men and women were true patriots. We have Sergeant Declan Cody, at the age of 20. I don't know many 20-year-olds who are in the military. And maybe that the reason why I don't know many 20-year-olds are is because they are in the army and they're not here. But still, I don't know many people who enlisted at the age of 20. I know a few people. Some of my uncles joined the military, the various branches, and that. But I don't know many people my age, or my generation, Gen Z, who've joined the military. And so the fact that D-Clan was willing to do this, truly patriotic. Not that the others weren't or less patriotic, but I'm just glad to see my generation, Gen Z, the screenagers, not just being stuck on a screen or video game. So other news from Iran is we have sunk 30 Iranian ships in their navy. Why is this important, you might ask? Well, one of them, well, one, Iran doesn't have a navy anymore. They just don't. It's gone. They're all on the bottom of the ocean. That's huge for progressing this war or conflict, as I'll talk about a bit later. Secondly, one of these ships was sunk by a torpedo launched from a submarine. Why is this important? Because it is the first time that has happened since World War II. That's 80 years. 80 years we haven't done this. Why are we doing that? Because it is powerful. It works. I don't know why we haven't done it. We've had a few different wars since then, a few different opportunities, but it works. There's videos of the clip going around on the internet. You can go look them up. I'm not going to be playing them on here. But if you go and find those, it works. The ship just kind of trumples. They're powerful explosives. Other news about the war is US and Israeli forces have already, within a week, destroyed at least 75% of Iran's missile launchers. Not necessarily their stocks or the missile capacity, but their launchers. 75%. It was estimated that they had about 400 prior to the start of this conflict. A weekend, 300 destroyed. At least. And it's gotten to the point where if Iran launched a missile, in 4 minutes, that launcher is destroyed. That's great news. Now, I'll talk about my position on this a bit later. I don't want to get into that. But, because we need to get back to that AI and kind of wrap that up. But I gotta throw in a little teaser for you. You guys like to turn off the videos if I don't. So, I'll leave this and then I'll go back to AI. The war in Iran is not a war. And I'll tell you after more talk about AI. So, what is the significance of X going to space? Well, cooling. Space will automatically cool down the data centers. There are going to probably be these little pods of banks, much smaller than that actual data centers, about the size of satellites. But the vacuum of space will cool them without water. That is going to decrease the continuous cost of these data banks. Call them banks instead of centers, as they're much smaller. Secondly, if you just attach solar panels to them, there goes power. So again, cuts down power significantly. This allows X to have a huge leg up in the AI, especially when you consider that Elon Musk owns both X and SpaceX. SpaceX, which is the space agency that is notorious for having rockets that can both launch and return. That's a pretty big news because they have guaranteed that that is what they're going after. Now, why is the conflict in Iran not a war? Well, for the US to officially go to war, Congress needs to declare that we're at war. Well, they haven't done that yet. But then you might be asking yourself, quite validly, how is Trump doing this if we're not at war? Well, back in 1980, around that period, I don't have the date uh, in my notes, there was a pass called the War Power Act. Now, it would allow the US president to deploy troops for 60 days. But he must notify Congress within 48 hours of doing so. This came after the Vietnam War when there was a whole bunch of stuff under the rug and all that. 60 days. Trump has 60 days to do this. Well, actually, he has 90 days. I'll tell you why. Because on top of those 60 days, he has another 30 days to withdraw his troops. And while doing so, he can still be attacking. So he's got about 90 days if he wants. However, if he does, then he's going to start breaking his promises. And that's when we can start worrying about endless war in Iraq or in Iran, like Iraq. So let's go over the few different parties you can be in for this war. I said I would get into that. Now is the time. The first one is like the neocons. Wait, that's not the right word. Okay, scrap that. First camp is those who just don't like war. There's got to be a name out there for them. The pacifists. They don't like war, period. Don't like war. They don't want it. Second group is kind of the war if it's beneficial for America, but is Iran really beneficial for America? Not, we don't think so. So that's the second group. The third group that most political commentators are talking about is the yes, let's go to war. It's necessary. It's needed. We need to do this. I actually want to change that and say that on top of these three, there's two more. Two more. Two. The fourth one is the party that just says Trump wanted war. Trump wants something bad. There's that party. That's about 80% of your liberals out there. If Trump does something, they automatically think it's bad and want the opposite. Don't care if Obama did the same. Don't care if Hillary Clinton ran on the same things. Doesn't matter. If Trump wants something, it's bad. The fifth and final group is the group where they're holding off judgment for now. They're fine with war if it's if it's done rightly. And it's very similar to the third group or second group, really, that I was talking about earlier. Very similar to that. And maybe they are the same thing. This fifth group or second, depending on how you look at it, is where I would say I'm at because I'm holding. I think it is justified. I think there was the right threats and stuff that the war needed to happen. However, I'm not sure if it continues on and on and on and on like Iraq. I don't want that. I think that would be terrible. That'd be terrible for Trump. That would be terrible for the administration. It'd be terrible for Republicans in general. It'd be terrible for America. We don't like that. We don't want that. However, I am really putting off my judgment of it until the end. Because Trump said he laid out this plan. 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to go in there, we're going to bomb them, we're going to make some jokes, we're going to try to put someone else in power who can play nicely, who doesn't want to nuke us, who doesn't want to blow us up, who doesn't want to kill our president. The problem is we keep killing off all the candidates. So there's that. Trump's made that joke a few different times. But that but we can't really know until but I'm holding off my judgment until after the fifth week. If we're still at war after the fifth week, then I'm going to be starting to say, hey, Mr. President, said we're going to be done by now. Why aren't we done? It's been a weekend and we've destroyed any starts to rebuild nuclear power. There wasn't much. We have destroyed 300 missile silos. Those we have destroyed their navy. We've killed like their top 40 guys. We just we've just gotten so good at just blowing them up that every time that these officials meet together trying to attack us, trying to do anything, we just kill them. Do I think that's bad? Yes and no. But that's well, actually, I'm pretty well done with my notes for the main part of the show today. So I will get into it a bit. I think it's good because these men were evil. The regime in Iran was truly evil. If you look at like they just took away all women's rights. If you read the Quran, if you read Sharia law, they took away all the rights of women. They took away, pardon me, excuse me. They took away uh, the rights of minorities. Here in America, we talk about all these minorities being persecuted. Well, in Iran, they are persecuted. And here, you might not get a job, and that's all. That's mostly in America, just a bunch of dog water, a bunch of foo-foo. In Iran, it was a real thing. They were killing them by the dozens. Since 1959, when the regime took control, there's been a confirmed 47,000 people killed. 1,000 of those were US troops. Estimates actually aim much higher than 47,000. It's just we know 47,000 has been confirmed or killed. Um, what else? They constantly threatened us. They tried to kill President Trump a few times. We don't like it when people try to kill our president. We gotta say it. You try to kill our president, it's not a good idea. We are the uh, United States of freaking America. We are the global superpower. You don't try to bomb the global superpower's leader or president. You shouldn't try to shoot or bomb one of our congressmen or women. You do that, I want the same response to shooting at and bombing Trump. Didn't succeed with Trump. Then didn't succeed with any Congress members, as far as I'm aware. So that's the good thing. That's the why it's good that we're doing this. They were evil, they were truly vile men. The sad thing, and this is going to be kind of more relative, is they weren't Christians. By killing these men, we actually sent them to eternal damnation. We've condemned them to the pits of hell. Or the likelihoods of them coming to Christ, seeing the light high? No. Like I said, they are vile men. They were devout Muslims. They most likely weren't. But we still sent them to hell. Hell is not a great place. It really isn't. So that's why I'm kind of against the war. So anytime you get in a war, people are going to die. People die, they don't know Christ, they're going to heaven. Or not to heaven, to hell. And we condemn them to that. Now, at the same time, the Bible does say the government has the power to justly kill, not murder, but kill trespassers. And I do believe Iran qualifies for that. But still, it's definitely a sombering moment. On that sombering point, we're going to head over to the shorts, news shorts. So we don't have a transition. So actually, we'll just kind of go there. Transition. Okay. First one. I've got three for you today. Just three. We'll run through the first one very fast, and the others two, maybe. I'm sure most of you have heard of this over the past week, but Jim Carrey, the Jim Carrey cloning incident. Jim Carrey was supposed to make a speech at some award ceremony in France. There are way too many just ceremonies for actors nowadays. I don't even know anymore. But people were saying that it was like a clone, it was a body double, and it turned out they were right. After a few days of denying it, Jim Carrey he finally came out and said, "Yeah, I actually haven't been to any public event in 3 years, and I didn't want to go out to public." So he did hire kind of a body double to go and make the speech for him, and that's about all we have for that story. The next bullet point I have is simply this: return to nuclear power. Well, only 12 out of our 50 states of America have nuclear power banned. However, 45 out of the 50, and I know that doesn't math right, that doesn't work out correctly, are working towards nuclear power. I'm having done immense research in this. That's kind of the whole point of the shorts categories. News stories that I kind of want to get into, but I haven't done enough research into. So I'll just kind of give the overview, a kind of rough idea. About out 45 states, maybe less, maybe more, are moving towards nuclear power. The state of Ohio is working towards, or actually has, two nuclear power plants in the books. Other states are also working towards building nuclear power plants. Kentucky, Tennessee, I think Missouri, not Minnesota. Minnesota has a band, but that's Governor Waltz for you. More states are working towards opening up nuclear power. I'm actually all for this. I think nuclear power is great. I think it is the cleanest energy. It is the most efficient. We need to get nuclear. It would also help with the cheap energy, like we were talking about earlier. But we just haven't had. There's so much nuclear scare that it makes everyone cautious. validly so. I mean, there was the uh, Fukushima in Japan that got struck by a tsunami. They're still dealing with repercussions from that, trying to deal with all the water that was used to cool down the nuclear reactor, all that stuff. They're trying to deal with that. And the Chernobyl, well, however, both those were kind of interesting circumstances. Fukushima was hit by a tsunami. We don't get many tsunamis here in America. Would be pretty safe, I'd assume, in my opinion, to open up a nuclear reactor. The other thing is Chernobyl was run happened during the Soviet Union. Soviets weren't always super on top of things. A lot of officials actually cut corners because such hard demands from higher up. And so that's where Chernobyl kind of failed because of cutting corners for costs and other things. If we build up regulations, the proper regulations, and aren't lazy about them, aren't lax about them, keep the proper checks in line, nuclear power will be the future of the world. It will greatly advance any technological advance. That's what's needed. So that's all I really have to say there. The final one, the final thing I have for us today is this man. The man I've kind of been showing you guys this whole day. Who is he? Oh, if you've been paying attention, right here it says, meet James Tallarico. Who is James Tallarico? Well, he is running for a Senate seat in Texas. Now, James, let me just read off this his kind of about me on his website. James is an eighth generation Texan, former middle school teacher and Presbyterian seminary. Yeah. As a state representative, oh, my bad. He's running for representative, not Senate. As a state representative, he's led the fight against the billionaire mega donors and puppet politicians who have taken over Texas. Now, no, I was right. Now he's running for U.S. Senate to take his fight against corruption to Washington and win power back for working people. So that's James Tallarico. Top middle school. He is a Presbyterian seminarian. He's also a heretic. Now, let me tell you why. He has he's Presbyterian seminarian. And he's got his sermons on tape. Don't have the clips, mostly because I'm going to wait and save those clips until closer to election time. But in one of those, and he claims Christianity, but we're talking about him being a heretic. Why is he a heretic? One, he's been teaching from the heretical gospel, or listening, I'm using air quotes, of St. Thomas. It wasn't written until centuries after the other gospels, so there's nothing about it to give it legitimate value. When it was discovered, uh, the church elders kind of has to decide as it did not line up with any of the gospels. So that's about the Gospel of St. Thomas. Boy, what's in it? One of the most striking things is it says that in order for women to get to heaven, they must become like men. I'm sorry, but no. The Bible is very clear about that. Men are not to be women and women are not to be men. Men are not to have sexual intercourse with men and women are not to have it with women. No. I think this guy, I don't know where he went to seminary. I don't know how he became a pastor, but wherever he did, whoever credentialed him needs to come knocking on his door and take it back. Because you cannot teach that women need penises to go to heaven. Something like that. It's something like he's talking about. Oh, the other thing is he's all for LGBTQ. He was talking about abortion rights for trans women. What? He is pro-abortion, pro-LGBTQ, and he's really anti-Christian. And the ironic thing is, he is the Democrats are giving him to us as the moderate uh, campaigner, the moderate candidate. And really, he is so radical left that he would make Newsom blush. Well, that's if Gavin Newsom was able to blush over anything. He doesn't. He doesn't have any sense of pride. Doesn't have any sense of right or wrong. But so that's James Talarico, and the fight for the state of Texas has never been harder and never been more vital. Well, thanks for tuning in. Despite phony pastors, uh, war in Iran, Jim Carrey clones, and all this other news, remember, God is good all the time. And until next week, Godspeed.